Testing, good morning. Dear respected teacher, dear friends, can everyone hear me okay? Great. Before we begin, let us enjoy our breathing. I invite you to sit beautifully, sit upright, but also relaxed. Enjoy this moment together. If you may like to close your eyes. Be aware of the placement of your hands. You can feel the rising and the falling of your abdomen as you breathe in and out. Allow your breathing to help you to relax, to center yourself in this moment. Breathing in, I'm aware that this is an in-breath. Breathing out, I'm aware that this is an out-breath. In-breath, out-breath. Good morning, dear respected teacher, dear noble community. Today is Sunday, March the 17th in the year 2024, and we're in the Rising Tide Meditation Hall, Magnolia Grove Monastery, Batesville, Mississippi. This is a day of mindfulness, so welcome to all of our friends who've come for the day, but also good morning to all of our friends from Adelphi University. We have the great pleasure to have Adelphi University be with us for a couple of days of practice. As we all know, this is a kind of the spring break period, and so for the students and also the staff to choose to come here for spring break, that's something I see very promising. Also something very encouraging and inspiring. Maybe you didn't imagine waking up at 5 a.m. for your spring break, but we're happy that you're here and having a chance to enjoy the monastery, and we hope that everybody slept well. One of the things about living in the monastery is we have to deal with a lot of confrontation and a lot of interactions with a lot of people. So not only the monastics, also with lay friends with lay friends, and so on. And with our everyday interactions, there's a lot of things that can happen. One of them being the pressure that we put on ourselves. How should we be? How should we live? Are we doing this the right way? Are we doing it wrong, right? Am I going to be yelled at for not doing it properly? Are the monastics going to kick me out because I'm not walking properly for walking meditation, or I'm eating too fast during eating meditation? A lot of the stuff that goes on in our head. And we might tend to put a lot of pressure on ourselves to, quote unquote, fulfill or to perform with our practice. And so, if we're a beginner in the practice, we may feel a lot of pressure to practice right. How to practice right, or to practice the right way. Or what is, when the monastics say you have to sit solidly, you try to sit solidly as a rock. So you try to sit firm, but actually what you're doing to yourself is you're sitting too firm, which you don't allow yourself to relax. So you actually create more tension in your body. Or when you're eating, you may be in touch with it very slowly, but all of a sudden your practice, it becomes a little robotic. And so I'm here to say, I think one thing that we would like for you to do when you're here is to just relax. Enjoy the practice. See it as it comes. If you're doing well in it, that's wonderful. If you're not doing well in it, it's also okay. It's a practice. And we grow in the practice. It's kind of like how an athlete, they always are practicing. They practice every day so that when it comes to the sporting event or when it comes to time for them to perform, they are ready. They're always, because they've practiced. And so for us, it's kind of similar, but we don't have a sporting event or anything that we need to perform for. We're practicing for ourselves. And so one of the things that I want to touch base on today is pressure. So how do we deal with pressure in family, in society, in school, in our workplace, and so forth? Because I think when we have pressure, it causes a lot of stress, or it causes a lot of tension in our body. And it also may cause some suffering, which may lead to depression, which may lead to anxiety, and so on. And so sometimes in the monastery, or for my own practices, how do I turn something that I think negative into something positive? So in our mindfulness practice in the community, or in Buddhist practice, we like to use numbers to explain sutras or explain what this means and so forth. So, for example, the Buddha, one of his first teachings is the Four Noble Truths. We also have the eight Noble Eightfold Path, and so on. But for me, I like to use acronyms. So we're going to use an acronym. And the word of the day, as you may not already know, is pressure. I hope I spell it right. Or I hope it fits as well. What could possibly be an acronym for pressure that relates to mindfulness practice? So this is for us to discover. This is a little insight that came to me while I was preparing this topic, and just also thinking about my practice these past couple of weeks. So, as acronyms go, P. The question is, what are we kind of looking for? I think I heard it. Peace. Very good. Peace. So peace. This is a great way to start it. This is something we're all kind of looking for. How do we find our internal peace so that we can enjoy life as it is? Peace is something I think that we're all kind of looking for, right? I think we're all kind of looking for some kind of peace, whether it be at home or at school or in our workplace. And so how do we find that peace? So I'm just going to start with that P. Maybe one way to do it is to relax. So how do we relax? So here at the monastery, we always say coming back to our breathing. Why do we come back to our breathing? And what happens when we do that? And so when we go it step by step, so when I breathe in, I focus my mind fully on my in-breath coming in. And I feel my in-breath nourishing each and every cell in my body. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm not thinking about what's for lunch or how long this Dharma talk's going to be. I'm just thinking about my in-breath. Breathing in, I feel the nourishment my in-breath brings to my body. Breathing in, I can also see any tensions I have in my body. Sometimes, if we're in school, for example, or when we have an exam, I think many of the students, they just finished their midterms. You may notice a lot of tension, maybe in your shoulders, in your neck, your back. So you can allow your breathing actually to go to those areas of tension. So that your shoulders, your back, or even your chest. Just allow your breathing to come in and it helps you to relax. Just relax the tension, relieve the tension in your body. And when we're able to relieve our tensions in the body, we're able to have some clarity and have a little bit of peace. Moving on. Anybody want to guess E? Exhale. Breathe out. We breathe in, also we breathe out. Relieve that tension. Always remember, breathe. So sometimes we're just breathing in. Oh, so much tension. Okay, breathe out. Relax. Relieve it all. There's a very beautiful example that our teacher gives is that Mother Earth is like our mother. And so Mother Earth receives everything. We can dump the most beautiful fragrance from Mother Earth, but we can also dump, like I think we see in the climate nowadays, people dump a lot of maybe not so great liquids or not so great things to the earth. And so, but Mother Earth, she embraces it. And so even with our tension, even if we feel that it's something so nasty or tense, just relieve it to Mother Earth. She'll gladly receive it for us. Take that tension away from us. I always find it so funny. I think there are some things like rituals that I hear, like for example, I had a friend who has this ritual with his grandmother. It's that whenever he feels kind of any sadness, his grandmother like gives him a penny, and then she takes the penny away. She says, let me take the penny, let me take your anxiety or your stress away from you. Just put it in the penny and I'll take it away. And so it's kind of like Mother Earth. If we have any tension, just let Mother Earth take care of it. She'll recycle it for us. She'll give us that positive energy. So, peace, relax, exhale. And after we've exhaled, anybody want to give a guess? We smile. We smile. Because when we naturally relax our face, when we exhale, we smile. Be beautiful, be yourself. You're enough. Don't think that you have to be something. You put this pressure on yourself that you have to be somebody, or you have to be something that you're not, or believe in something that you don't believe in. You're beautiful for who you are. So always remember to smile. That's a gift that we can always offer to somebody. And it's going to be okay. We may be feeling some tension, or we may be having or going through a storm, but what happens with storms, they'll always pass. There's always sunrise, a sun on the other end of the storm. So we had a huge storm here the other day, on Friday, and it was quite the storm. I think in other places they were getting like baseball-sized hail, and so you don't want to be outside for that. But the next day it turned into a very beautiful day, and so the storm will pass. But always remember to smile. Always remember to smile, because that's a beautiful quality, a beautiful gift that we can give to others. There's another S. So I'm going to throw a little curveball here. The next one is seeds. In Buddhist psychology, we have something that's called the store consciousness in our mind consciousness. And so we have in this store consciousness kind of a circle, okay? We have what's called a store consciousness. We also have what's called our mind consciousness. We also have kind of 5 things kind of going out like this. So in our store consciousness, we have what's called seeds. So we have little seeds here and there. And what are these seeds? These seeds can be seeds of anger, seeds of fear, also seeds of joy, and seeds of happiness. So we all have these what's called seeds inside of us. And so we can imagine when we think of seeds inside of our consciousness, we can think of like a garden. And so what do we do for a garden? I think we always are making sure that the garden is getting, the seeds are having enough water, having enough sunlight, having enough nutrients so that it can grow into whatever we want. And so, for example, if you have a tomato plant, you have a little seed, you want to make sure that it's properly put in the right soil. Make sure you're watering it every day so that it grows into a beautiful plant and that you can bear fruit with that tomato plant. And so in our mind, we have these little seeds. So we have seeds of happiness, seeds of joy, seeds of anger, seeds of fear, anxiety, sorrow, grief, and so on. So that's all in there. We all have it. And with this, we have, sometimes with this, we have our senses. So we have our eye, our ears, nose, our tongue, and our body. It's what we touch, what we taste. So this is, what we take in. So we have what we take in from our eyes, what we take in from our ears, our nose, our tongue, and our body, what we touch. And so these are the things that are watering certain seeds in our consciousness. And so, for example, if someone said something that made me angry, what do you think it's going to do? Someone says something, so my ears, I'm hearing something that makes me angry, it's going to water this little seed of anger. Or when I see someone, they're doing something that is like a pet peeve of mine, what's it going to do? It's going to water the seed of anger. And when the seed of anger gets watered enough, it's going to grow all the way into my mind. So anger can be a flower as well. So it's going to grow all the way into my mind. So that's what is in my mind right now, is this seed of anger. Because of what is being nurtured by my ears, my eyes. Even if I don't like spicy and I eat something spicy, it makes me angry, for example. So this seed of anger can be watered through our environment, so through our senses. So as a practitioner, we have to be able to stop and look deeply. What is watering these seeds of anger? If we continue to allow ourselves to be in this environment that is watering our seeds of anger, our anger will just stay in our mind, and then we will be portrayed as an angry person. So sometimes the environment, it does play a big part in our daily life. So we have to see. So here, when anger comes into our mind, what we have to do is we have to use the energy of mindfulness to embrace this seed of anger. And once mindfulness, if we're aware of I ate a chili, it made me spicy. Oh, what that person said makes me angry. Oh, what that person did makes me angry. And if I'm able to recognize that and see that, I'm able to prevent that from happening in the future. So if I know if that person says something that makes me angry, I'm like, dear friend, I'm not very happy with what you said. So I'm going to remove myself from the situation. Or, dear friend, I don't like eating chilies. So if you could let me know, that'd be great. But also, if you tell me it's spicy, that would also be very helpful. Well, it's just going to water my seeds of anger. And when we're able to use our mindfulness and see the roots of our anger, because now the seed has rooted into our store. When we're able to see the roots with mindfulness, we're able to bring down this flower of mindfulness. It's able to come back down into our store and remain dormant. But the same thing can be said with happiness. The same thing can be said with joy. When we're around an environment that brings us joy and brings us happiness with our mind, our body, our nose, and so forth, when we're watering the seeds of joy and allowing it to come into our mind, we can use mindfulness to keep it in our mind. So we want to make sure that what we see as negative seeds, keep it down into our store. And what we see as positive, we use mindfulness to keep it in our mind. So always nourishing, seeing what we're taking in with our eyes, our ears, our nose, our tongue, and our body. And if it brings us joy, we continue to have it to bring us joy. We use mindfulness to see, when I look at a flower, I'm very joyful. So I keep flowers around me, and I take care of the flowers. Or when I'm with my parents or with my family, I find so much joy in being with them. And so I try to put an effort to be with them, because that's what gives me joy. That's what gives me happiness. Sometimes we can't rely on others to give us joy or give us happiness. We always have to rely on ourselves. We always have to go back to ourselves. And so with seeds, when it comes to pressure, we have to see what are the positive seeds, what are the negative seeds inside of us, so that we can grow, we can be a more positive person, and we can keep the negative seeds down in our store. So this is just a little basics of Buddhist psychology. If you want to go deeper, there are many YouTube videos on the Plum Village YouTube page, so you're more than welcome to check that out, where they go much more in depth about this. Moving on, this should be easy. We have understanding. In order for us to have love and compassion for ourselves, we have to be able to understand oneself. So with the seeds, we have to be able to see what makes us happy, what makes us joyful. And when we understand ourselves, we're able to love ourselves even more. And loving ourselves, we're able to love others. How can you expect to love someone else if you don't love yourself? But with love, it requires us to have understanding and compassion. There's an example of having compassion without understanding. Our teacher, he has this story about there's a very popular fruit in Asia, which is a durian. I don't know how many of you know what a durian is. And so a durian is a very acquired smell and taste. I don't know how many of you like durian. I think, okay, yeah, okay, good. No one, okay. But our teacher, he does not like durian. But it's a very prized and a very cherished fruit in Southeast Asia. And so when you're in Asia, giving durian is like giving it to like royalty in a sense. And so there's a story about when our teacher, when he was a young novice, we usually offer fruits. There are no fruits on our altar, but usually we offer fruits and flowers. And there was a durian that was on the altar, and our teacher, he was practicing chanting, with the fish drum and with the bell. But he couldn't handle the smell of the durian. So what he did was he actually took the bell and he put it on top of the durian, so to cover the smell. And so even though it's like a royal, it's something that's very cherished in Southeast Asia, but when you offer it to our teacher, he will suffer so much. So that's called compassion without understanding. So if I offer, yes, this is the best thing that I can offer is this durian, our teacher will receive it, but he will suffer so much. And so sometimes what we think is good for ourselves, but if we don't understand what that person goes through or what that person likes, we're actually creating more suffering, or we're actually creating more misunderstanding. And so with our teacher, you can offer the durian, but you have not understood our teacher. You have not understood him, that he doesn't like durian, and so he'll suffer. But our teacher is very embracing and compassionate, so he'll, of course, take it with a smile, but he'll give it to his disciples who like durian. And so, but we have to be able to understand. We have to be able to find that space to understand oneself. And so we have to see for ourselves. When it comes to pressure, what do we like? Are we putting ourselves in a position to force ourselves to like something, but in the end, it doesn't give us any happiness, any joy? And when we see that, we understand ourselves more clearly. It's like putting a mirror in front of yourself. You see what makes you beautiful. You see what makes you smile. You see what makes you frown. And so we have to be able to have understanding in order to have compassion and love for ourselves and for others. And so sometimes we like to go and we want to share our compassion, think about others before ourselves. But let us switch it up a bit. Let's think about ourselves a little bit before others. It sounds very selfish, but when we're taking care of ourselves, making sure that we're getting the right love for ourselves and investing in ourselves, we become the best thing for our loved ones, for those around us. And so, investing in ourselves, we're actually investing in others. We're taking care of others. So with our loved ones, if we see that they're going through some struggles, we just hope that they're taking care of themselves. But we have to do our part to take care of ourselves so that they don't worry about us. The next R, we have, I like to put ready. There's a popular term this is kind of what I base my practice off of, is I stay ready so I don't have to get ready. What does that mean? Being ready is, with my practice, is I always have to try to, I don't have to try. My goal is to practice in such a way so when anger or fear manifests, I'm always ready for it. I can always be ready to embrace it because we never know when it's going to come. That's why we always have to be diligent in taking care of oneself, because we never know when that moment of anger is going to come. And we can't be like, when anger comes up, we're like, anger, wait, give me 5 minutes, let me get ready. It doesn't work like that. When anger comes up, it comes up. And sometimes it can be a ticking time bomb or something that's just too overpowering for us. And so in my practice, I always have to make sure that I'm doing my part and coming back to my breath, coming back to my steps, having a solid foundation in my practice so that I'm always ready whenever these emotions arise or whenever these challenges come up. So I stay ready so I don't have to get ready. And lastly, we have enjoy. Enjoy the present moment. Life is only available in the present moment. Life is also more than the emotion that we go through. Or we are not defined by our emotion that we go through. So even though we're experiencing a feeling of anger, that does not define us. If we're mindful, we're able to take care of that seed of anger and bring it down, and bring up that seed of joy, bring up the seed of happiness, bring up the seeds of love. But always remember to enjoy. So when we come back to that peace or our breath, train yourself in such a way where you're constantly enjoying your breathing. Always mindful of what is happening around you. When you're taking a step, really take that step with confidence. Really take that step with joy. Really take it with peace. They say that the miracle is to walk on water, but actually the miracle is to walk on earth. To be able to have the opportunity to walk, to enjoy our breathing, to enjoy the steps. It's a miracle. So life is only available in this moment, in the present moment. We don't have to worry about what's going to happen in the future. We don't have to stress about what's already happened in the past. We can build our past now. We can build a better past now with our breathing. So what has ever happened, we acknowledge it, we see it, we can use that as experience, but we can always build a better past now. Because this moment will become the past. But we also don't have to get carried away about the future, what's going to happen in the future. We don't have to let that drag us out of this moment. Because there's no point in thinking about it if we're not able to worry about right now. So when you're taking care of this moment, enjoying this moment, you're building your future. When you're investing in your breathing, taking care of your breathing, taking care of your breath, you're actually taking care of your breathing and your breath for the future. It's like baby steps in the practice. And so this is kind of the positive that can come out of pressure. And it all goes back to peace. We find that peace. And then it kind of cycles itself. So when we have our peace, we're able to relax. We exhale, we smile, we see the seeds. We come back, we have understanding for ourselves and for our loved ones. We're always ready for any moment, and we enjoy the moment. Whether it's good or bad, we can enjoy it. We can enjoy something if it's bad. Let us listen to one sound of the bell. There's a phrase that pressure makes diamonds. So when we go through a lot of the difficulties and challenges in life, we can always give ourselves a more positive mentality. For me in my practice, I always see that whenever I experience suffering or difficulties, I always see that as an opportunity for me to practice rather than something to knock me down. When I have difficulties, okay, it's an opportunity. This is an opportunity for me to understand myself, to grow more, to see where I'm at in my practice. When I'm suffering, it's an opportunity for me to return to my breathing, to enjoy my practice. I think we take that for granted because when we think about difficulties, we think of it in a more negative way, as like an obstacle for us. But when I see there's a difficulty or the suffering, that's an opportunity, because we don't get much opportunity. Our teacher, he also shared, someone asked our teacher a question, is, would you like your students to be in a place where there's no suffering? Our teacher said no. We need the suffering in order to grow, because it's a noble truth. Suffering is a part of life. But how do we suffer much less? How do we learn how to suffer? I think there's an art to knowing how to suffer, so that we can suffer much less. And so seeing it as a way to enjoy, seeing it as an opportunity to practice, an opportunity for growth, I think we can have a different relationship with suffering. The same thing goes with our difficulties. Yeah, there's a lot of difficulty, and we're going to experience more difficulties as we grow. But how do we tackle it in such a way where we find our peace? And so these little steps here, if we take it step by step, can help us to come back. And as a practitioner, all we're doing is we're stopping and we're looking deeply. That's all we're doing. We're not trying to reach enlightenment. We're not trying to have a goal. Our goal is just to stop, look deeply, see what is the cause of the roots of our suffering. And lastly is our breath is our friend. It's always there for us in difficult moments or in any moment. Our breath has never left us. And so whenever we might be feeling lonely, always remember you have your breathing. Our breath is always there. But are we ever there for our breathing? Sometimes we can be in high pressure situations, or we can be in moments of suffering, and so we forget. We allow that moment just to carry us away. But have we taken the time to be present for our breathing? Because our breath is there. Have we acknowledged it? Are we mindful of it? Our breathing is our friend. It's never left us. It was there when we were first born, and it's going to be there until we have our last breath. And it will actually continue after that. As we see now that, our teacher has passed, a little bit more than 2 years now, but we're breathing for him. Believe it or not, we're carrying on his practice. And so the impact that our breath can have with us can make a huge impact in our lives, but also other people's lives. We may see that, with all the issues that are going on in the world, or in our society, in our neighborhood, in our household, we may think we ourselves, we cannot do it alone. And yes, actually, it's very difficult to do it alone. That's why we need community. That's why we need each other. No matter what we believe in, no matter where we come from, no matter what we look like, we need each other. And our breath can help us do that. We know what we need for ourselves. We can connect just through our breathing. I want to end with a little short story about just an example of this. Actually, a story that happened in my family. I have a little brother that goes through a lot of. That was when he was in college. I noticed him. He was looking very sad. I was like, "You all right?" He was like, "No, I'm not okay." And he's somebody that is, to himself, very independent. And so doesn't really share when he's going through any kind of challenges or difficulties. But I saw it in his eyes, "No, you're going through something." So I had a chance just to sit with him. It was actually on the little swing outside, on the other side of underneath the pine tree. And I just sat and I said, we just sat there, and all of a sudden he just started crying. And I was like, "Oh, okay, what's going on?" And he shared, it just feels that there's so much pressure going on in school. Like he's not doing well in school. And he was afraid that my parents would not accept that or would not be happy, because there's a stereotype that goes on. There's something that we have to follow. Oh, you have to do well. As an Asian American, or just as an Asian, you have to do well. You have to be good in math. You have to, that's a stereotype. Or you have to have good grades. And my brother, he was caught in that stereotype. But the reality is that he was not doing well. And he had allowed this thought to go on for so long that it's turned into a mental formation that he believes it now, that my parents would not accept him for who he was. And so I was like, did you actually ask them that? Did you tell them that? Or did you ask them that they would not accept you? He's like, no, but I know it. I'm like, I think you're going too quick to the conclusion. Maybe you should ask them. I think they'll be understanding. And I'm like, I'll go there with you, and we can talk about it with my parents. And so we're able to find a time to sit with my parents. And because my parents, I think as parents or as loved ones, all we want is our children's happiness or our loved ones' happiness. And so when my parents see their children suffering, they're going to do what they can to make sure that they're happy. And so when we sat with my parents and my little brother, we shared the situation, and my parents were like, what? No, we've always loved you. If you ever need help, you gotta let us know. If you need a tutor, we're more than happy to pay for a tutor. We just want you to be happy. We want you to take care of yourself. Make sure you're doing what's right for yourself. Don't constantly shoot that second arrow into the wound. Let us help you. We just want you to be happy. And when my brother heard that, he also blew out into tears. And my brother, he's not one to cry, but it's just the perception that he had, that he kept on growing because of the pressure that he was going through, or because of something that someone told him that he should be like. It actually wasn't the reality. And so now my brother is much happier because of that. But I think the moral of the story is that, maybe sometimes we have to find that understanding, and that requires communication within ourselves and with our loved ones. Because sometimes our perceptions, 99% of the time, they are wrong. And so that's a good sign of hope. So sometimes we may think something, but actually that might not be the reality. So let's not be too quick to jump to the conclusion of what is the reality and what is not. And so in this case, my brother, through high pressure situations, thinking my family would not accept him because of his grades, or because of how he was doing in school, or how he was performing at work, that he would not be loved or accepted. But it was complete opposite. And so going back, the pressure that we deal with, we may see it as something negative, but let's turn it into something positive. Pressure makes diamonds. And we can grow and we can learn. And we can find peace. It's an opportunity for us to practice. And we can relieve pressure by just coming back to our breathing. Our breath, it's a miracle to be alive. The fact that we're here, the percentage of how we got here is a very small percentage. From the moment, I think if we look at it, just through our whole ancestry, how we got to this moment here is a very small percentage. So we're very lucky to be alive. And we're very lucky to experience what human beings experience. And so let's not take it for granted. And always come back and enjoy our breathing. Thank you so much for listening, and I wish you enjoy the rest of your day of mindfulness. Let us end with 3 sounds of the bell, and come back to your breathing and enjoy this moment together. Take care of your breath while you listen to the bell. Breathing in, I follow my in-breath all the way through, from the beginning to the end. Breathing out, I follow my out-breath all the way through, from the beginning to the end. Following in breath, following out breath.